Do you ever get that weird feeling after buying a new gadget or a new pair of shoes or di kaya a new bag? You know that weird feeling with a little voice after you book another flight somewhere or spending an entire day pampering yourself in a spa or salon. Do you know what that is? That's guilt. But don't worry, hindi ka nag-iisa. The reason why we feel guilty right after our purchase is because nasa isip natin, gumasto na naman tayo. Gumasto na naman tayo when we shouldn't be spending but instead saving. Gumasto tayo and we know the exact cost. Alam natin kung magkano yung nabawas sa debit card or na-charge sa credit card natin. Pero hindi natin alam or at least hindi natin naiisip yung value nung binili o nung pinagkakagastusan natin. What is up everybody? Happy New Year! Sana maganda ang simula ng taon ninyo. Today I will be talking about cost versus value. What is cost, what is value, and how these two are connected. So first, let me define cost. According to the dictionary, cost is an amount to be paid or spent in order to buy or obtain something. This something could be new clothes, grocery, or di kaya new gadget. It could be immaterial things like paying for the bills, paying for the rent. At the same time, it could be paying for services. So halimbawa, sumakay ka ng taxi or you had your hair done. So that's cost. Now what about value? Again, according to the dictionary, value is the usefulness, worth, or importance of something. Sa madaling sabi, yung halaga ng isang bagay. Cost and value sound very much alike but they're totally different. So, what's the difference? Cost is what you spend, value is what you get. Ulitin ko ha, cost is what you spend, value is what you get. Sounds simple enough but not everybody get it. Why? Ganito yan eh. Ever since we were kids, or at least ever since na nagkaisip tayo, we were taught, either by our school, by our parents, or by society, that before we buy something, we should look at the cost. Tingnan muna natin kung magkano yung gagastusin natin bago natin bilhin yung isang bagay. Unless, of course, you're a child of a millionaire. Now, how did this happen? How did this kind of mentality get ingrained sa utak natin? Let me give you some examples. At one point during our childhood, sinabi natin sa mama natin or sa papa natin na gusto natin yung isang laruan. And most often than not, ang sagot nila, "Anak, mahal yan." Sounds familiar? Isa pa. Growing up, we would hear our parents in the supermarket arguing kung ano yung brand ng shampoo or yung brand ng toothpaste or di kaya kung ano yung size ang bibilhin. And usually, the one that prevails is yung mura. Ito yung bilhin natin kasi mura. Tama? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Tama nga naman, we should always look at the cost of everything we spend on. There's nothing wrong cutting expenses by looking at the cost of goods that we buy. Ang problema, nakakalimutan na natin tingnan yung value, yung real value ng pinagkakagastusan natin. Now, how can we translate this into our daily lives? How can we set our minds to look at the value of something instead of just looking at its cost? Here's how. Every time you're hesitating or you feel guilty after purchasing something or paying for something, even though you admit to yourself that you need it, ask yourself kung ano pa ang ibang makukuha mo other than the material thing or the service itself. Halimbawa, thinking of getting a new car pero iniisip mo yung monthly mortgage, yung car maintenance, yung fuel, etc. etc. Think of the benefits kapag meron ka ng sasakyan. Hindi mo na kailangang limited yung grocery mo because this time, you don't have to worry about carrying a lot of stuff on your way home. Therefore, you don't have to go to the grocery that frequently because this time, pwede ka nang mamili ng maramihan. Yung oras mo na pabalik-balik sa grocery, pwede mo nang ilaan sa ibang bagay. That's the value you get after buying a car. Here's another example. Thinking of booking a flight to somewhere for a quick holiday kasi sobrang stress na sa work. Pero iniisip mo yung expenses like yung travel allowance, yung food, and accommodations. Isipin mo na lang, travel is the least expensive form of therapy. Would you rather pay a psychiatrist because you're having a mental breakdown? Or would you rather book a flight to Siargao, Palawan, Boracay, and release all the stress away while sipping your martini by the beach? I say the beach wins all the time. O ito, isa pa. Thinking of moving to your own apartment instead na mag-dorm or mag-flat share pero iniisip mo yung monthly rent, yung bills, and all other expenses that comes when moving to your own place. Think of the comfort, the convenience, the sense of security when you have your own place at wala kang ka-share. Wala kang iisipin na ibang tao, wala kang pakikisamahan. You don't have to tiptoe around people when you want to do something. You would not dread coming home after a long day at work dahil wala kang madadatnan na flatmate na wala nang ginawa kundi magpatugtog ng malakas while you just wanted to relax. These are the things that you're actually paying for every month. The peace of mind, the privacy, and a stress-free environment. That is the value that you get. Stop looking at the cost for a minute and look at the value. Before I end this video, let me give you a real-life example. A few months back, my girlfriend was having her nursing duty placement. She would be working 8 hours sa isang ospital pero hindi siya bayad. Think of it as her OJT. During her last week of placement, 9 p.m. yung out niya. Just in time to catch the last direct bus home. And the commute is usually 30 minutes long. One night, for some reason, she missed it. This meant that she had to walk a few blocks to the other bus stop, get on a different bus going to the city, take the train, and then walk another 10 to 15 minutes from the train station to her apartment. In total, adding an additional 2 hours of commute. So ang sabi ko sa kanya, okay, let me book you an Uber. Ang sagot niya, wag na. $30 pa yung Uber. Lugi pa dahil hindi ako bayad dito sa hospital. And then, I told her, if spending $30 means that you would be home safe and sound in less than an hour with me not having to stress out and worry, $30 is actually a very small price and a price I'm willing to pay. You see, in this scenario, magkaiba kami ng nakikita sa pag-book ng Uber. Ang tinitingnan niya, yung $30. Ang nakikita ko, yung peace of mind. She was looking at the cost, I was looking at the value. Stop looking at the cost, start looking at the value. Thank you for watching and I hope you learned something today. And as always, I'll see you next time. Cheers!